Mae Nak, Thailand. The Love After Death. Bangkok, early 1820s. In the village of Prakanong lived Mak and his wife Nak, pregnant when he left for war. While he was away, Nak died during childbirth, a tragedy Mak never learned about. Months later, he returned to find Nak waiting with their baby, smiling softly on the wooden pier of their canal house. She welcomed him inside, cooked his favourite meals, and cared for him just as she had before he left. The villagers kept their distance. No one approached Mak's home. Rumours spread quietly, and whenever Mak walked through the market, people looked away, terrified. Mak ignored the warnings, trusting only what he saw and felt inside his home. The warmth, the meals, the presence of the wife he loved. Until the night Nak dropped a lime off the pier. Instead of stepping down, her arms stretched, long and unnatural, reaching underneath the house to pick it up. Mak froze. Then he fled in tears to the temple, trembling in fear. While he was gone, Nak's spirit raged in grief, haunting anyone who passed near their house. Villagers were so terrified they planned to abandon the entire village. It ended only when the monk Somdet To arrived. Through a powerful ritual, he spoke to Nak's spirit, urging her to accept the truth and release the living. Nak finally let go, and her ashes were sealed inside a sacred jar. To this day, her shrine remains at Wat Mahabut, a reminder of a love so strong it refused to die.
Maria Labo, Philippines. The Woman with the Split Face, 1980s. Maria was a young mother who left the Philippines to work overseas as a nanny, hoping to give her family a better life. But the home she served was cruel. Her employer demanded perfection, every chore, every second of her day. The smallest mistake brought shouting and punishment. One night, he accused her of failing her duties and sexually assaulted her. Not once, but repeatedly. He reminded her daily she was beneath him, humiliating her as she cared for the household and its children, carrying a shame she could never speak of. She endured it for years, refusing to return home a failure. But the abuse grew harsher until her mind finally cracked. One morning, she collapsed. At the hospital, doctors noted signs of severe dissociation, blank stares, memory gaps, emotional numbness, but she refused to explain anything. The agency sent her home, saying she could no longer work. With her family, Maria seemed normal at first, but she startled at loud voices, forgot small conversations, and sometimes stared at her children with a quiet, frightened sadness. One evening, her husband came home to the smell of stew. Maria was stirring a pot, humming softly. "Where are the children?" he asked. Maria pointed at the stove. He froze, but when he lifted the lid and stirred the pot, a small human finger surfaced. His world collapsed. Maria watched him blankly, as if she didn't understand. Screaming in terror, he grabbed a machete and slashed her across the face. The blade split her cheek wide open, a wound Filipinos call Labo, meaning to split. That's where her name came from. Maria stumbled back and fled into the darkness, half her cheek torn open. People say a woman with a mutilated face wanders the roads at night, whispering through tears, "Have you seen my children?" never remembering what she'd done to her own child.
Okiku, Japan. The 10 Plates. Edo period, 1600s. At Himeji Castle served a young woman named Okiku, trusted with caring for the household's most valuable treasure, a set of 10 heirloom plates. She cleaned them carefully and counted them every day. Her master, the samurai Aoyama Tesan, desired her. When she rejected him, he set a cruel trap. Aoyama hid the 10th plate, then accused Okiku of stealing it, a crime punishable by torture. He demanded she confess, then whispered a bargain. "Serve me, and I will forgive you." Okiku refused, standing by her honor and the truth. Enraged, Aoyama beat her, dragged her to the courtyard well, and pushed her into the darkness. Her body sank, but her spirit did not. Soon after, a voice began drifting from the well at night. Soft at first, then trembling with sorrow, counting 1 to 9, always stopping before 10. But the 10th count didn't vanish, it lived inside Aoyama's mind. Every night he heard her whisper the final number directly into his ear. Her breath cold, her presence close. 10. The guilt crushed him, the counting never stopped. And Aoyama eventually abandoned the castle, consumed by the voice he could never silence.
Brow Lady of Raynham Hall, England.
The woman behind the locked door, Norfolk, 1720s. Her name was Lady Dorothy Walpole, once known for her warmth and gentle nature. Her husband, Charles Townshend, discovered she had secretly met with a former admirer. Nothing improper was ever proven, but Charles called it betrayal, a humiliation he refused to forgive. Dorothy was forbidden from ever leaving Raynham Hall. No visitors, no letters, and worst of all, her children were taken from her, kept in distant rooms. She could hear their footsteps echoing through the halls, yet she was never allowed to reach them. Life in the estate continued as normal. Dinners, guests, and servants moving through bright corridors, while Dorothy lived apart from all of it. Trapped inside the same house, yet erased from its world. Months turned into 6 long years. Her spirit thinned under isolation, her eyes dimmed, and the brown silk gown she wore faded with her strength. By the time she died inside the hall, she had already become a shadow of herself. But Raynham Hall did not release her. In 1936, when photographers captured her descending the stairs, one of the most famous ghost photographs in history, visitors reported a pale woman in a brown gown drifting through locked rooms, her face wax-like, her eye sockets dark and hollow. Others saw her glide down the grand staircase, silent and weightless.
Island of the Dolls, Mexico.
The Girl in the Canal, 1950s. In the canals of Xochimilco, farmers worked floating islands called chinampas. Everyone left every evening, but one man, Julian Santana, chose to live there full-time, growing vegetables and sleeping alone in a wooden hut surrounded by water. One afternoon, Julian found a young girl floating beside his island, drowned and alone. The image stayed with him. A few days later, a doll washed up on shore, tangled in the reeds. Julian hung it on a tree as a small offering, hoping the girl's spirit wouldn't feel forgotten. Over the years, he kept adding dolls, old toys from trash piles, damaged ones he traded vegetables for, believing each one gave the girl a friend so she wouldn't wander the island alone. Slowly, the trees filled with cracked faces and fading eyes, his quiet way of caring for a spirit he felt close to. 50 years later, Julian's nephew came to help with the harvest. That morning, Julian said the girl was calling from the water again. His nephew brushed it off. Julian often spoke that way, like he'd been talking to her for years. Minutes later, Julian disappeared. His nephew searched the island until he reached the canal's edge, the same spot Julian once said he found the girl, and saw him floating face down. He drowned exactly where he believed she died. Today, the dolls still remain, offerings from a man who spent his life trying to comfort a lonely spirit, and may have followed her in the end.
Chudail, India.
Cause of death, forbidden love, early 1900s. Her name was Sita, from a small village near Junjunu, Rajasthan. Her family arranged her marriage to a well-respected man, a match meant to raise the family standing. The ceremony was already being prepared, but Sita loved someone else, Ram Kishan, a farmhand. When she revealed she was pregnant with his child, the disgrace was immediate. Fearing humiliation in the village community, her family sent her far away to a cousin's home in Sitamarhi, Bihar,
Nearly 1,200 kilometers from everyone she knew.
There, she was treated like a burden, hidden, restricted, and cut off from the man she loved. Heartbroken, she secretly planned her escape. One night, she fled to the highway, exhausted and pregnant, begging passing buses. "Please, help me get home to my husband." Most ignored her, until one man stopped, claiming he was headed toward Rajasthan. Sita trusted him, told him her story, believed she was finally going home. But he drove off the main road, attacked her, violated her, and left her in an empty field. After her death, drivers on that stretch of highway spoke of a woman hitchhiking at night, crying softly, "Please, help me get home to my husband." Those who stopped with kindness said she vanished from the roadside. But drivers with bad intentions were found crashed off the road, swearing they saw a woman walking away in their headlights, her feet twisted backwards.
The Bell Witch, USA.
The death that was foretold, 1817. In the quiet settlement of Red River, Tennessee, the Bell family lived far from neighbors, their home surrounded by woods and empty fields. Life was peaceful until the whispers started. Soft tapping on the walls, bedsheets tugged at night, then a voice that spoke clearly, targeting 2 people. Betty Bell, the youngest daughter, and her father, John Bell. For Betty, the nights became unbearable, her name whispered from dark corners, her hair pulled, a cold voice mocking her whenever she cried. But John Bell suffered most. The presence cursed him openly, promising he would not live long. Soon, he developed violent choking fits and seizures no doctor could explain. As his health collapsed, the voice repeated the same warning, "Your end is near." One winter morning, John was found unresponsive. Beside him was his medicine vial filled with a strange black liquid. As the family stood around his body in shock, the voice spoke from the shadows. "I gave him that dose. He'll never wake again." Then it began to sing low and cold while the Bell family wept. After his death, the house fell silent. The spirit broke a family into pieces. The death of John Bell has been the only officially attributed to a supernatural entity in the history of USA. Pontianak, Malaysia. Buried with her child, 1900s. Her name was Amira, from a small village near Kedah. Newly married and already pregnant, she carried a secret she never meant to reveal. The child had been conceived before the wedding. Her husband discovered it and, to save his pride, told the village she had run away from shame. Days later, children playing near the banana grove behind his house noticed something in the soil. A hand, pale and stiff, reaching upward as if it had clawed its way toward daylight. When the villagers dug the grave open, they found Amira's body. Her nails were split and filled with dirt. Her mouth was frozen mid-scream. She had been buried alive. That night, her husband vanished. By morning, he lay in the same grove, eyes wide open, dirt packed into his mouth, faint bruises around his neck. No footprints, no struggle. A week later, the haunting began. Men walking past the grove smelled strong frangipani flowers, though none grew there. Women heard soft crying between the banana trees, and late at night, farmers heard nails scraping slowly across banana trunks, like something sharpening its claws. Since then, villagers believed Amira had become a Pontianak, a woman who died with her unborn child, buried before her final breath. Alright folks, which story do you think was the most tragic? And where are you from? I'd love to hear the legends from your part of the world.